Namo Buddhaya. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Buddhang Saranang Gacchami, Dhammang Saranang Gacchami, Sanghang Saranang Gacchami, Tudiyam Vibuddhang Saranang Gacchami, Tudiyam Vidhammang Saranang Gacchami, Tudiyam Visanghang Saranang Gacchami, Tadiyam Vibuddhang Saranang Gacchami, Tadiyam Vidhammang Saranang Gacchami, Tadiyam Visanghang Saranang Gacchami. Panadipata Veramani Sikkhabadang Samadhiyami, Adinnadana Veramani Sikkhabadang Samadhiyami, Kamesu Miccasara Veramani Sikkhabadang Samadhiyami, Musavada Veramani Sikkhabadang Samadhiyami, Sura Meraya Majjapama Tattana Veramani Sikkhabadang Samadhiyami. Sadhu, 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 sadhu.
Thank you, Lija.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. So, from last Sunday, we have started speaking on the first sermon of Buddha to the 5 Parivrajakas. And we have talked about the situation, what was there at the time when Buddha reached Sarnath, how the behavior of all the 5 Parivrajakas was there, what they had decided earlier, and that how they will not welcome him at all. But it is mentioned that it was the great welcome of unwelcomed person. So because, as I told, it was due to the great personality of Buddha, which personality was formed due to the knowledge, supreme knowledge he gained. And that was the reason that they were forced to welcome Buddha in whatever way they can do it. So, and the first thing we have to understand here, that he introduced what he has gained knowledge. It was the introduction part, saying that he has left the part of the way of asceticism, which was the extreme one. And also he explained how both the extreme, like the having pleasure in the life, and also the self-mortification, how it is bad, it's not good in this life to follow it. So he told about the middle path. I'm just taking a recap of it. It was the middle path where we have to leave the pleasure and also leave the self-mortification. Now here, when he tells about this to the five Parivrajakas, they become very eager to know what the real middle path is. This is one start, we can say, where they become eager and they want to know and they ask question to Buddha. And Buddha feels happy to tell them what he preaches, what his middle path is, and he tells them the important points, the principles we can say, or the three points we had talked earlier in the last class, that his path had nothing to do with God and soul. That is the first part. I am repeating it. Dhamma had nothing to do with the God and soul. Every time we have to remember this. Second, his Dhamma had nothing to do with life after death. So, he talks about the lifespan from birth to death. After death, he does not talk about it. Third one, his Dhamma does not include rituals and ceremonies. We are very fond of rituals and ceremonies. See, we have to make difference here about the enjoyment and rituals and ceremonies. Okay? Rituals and ceremonies have some main thing where we do it for gaining something from an unnatural sources like God or whatever it is. These are the rituals and ceremonies. The important again, Buddha talks about the to whom the Dhamma is to be given. That is, he says, it is for the man itself. A human being, we can say, it's written here man, human being, which includes men and women both. So the Dhamma is for human being. And why human being? How? It is because human being has relation with another human being. So to maintain the relation, Dhamma is required. The other thing, this is the first point of teachings. The first postulate is the word is given, which has to be accepted when one want to know the teachings of Buddha, or we can say one want to know what Dhamma talks on. So it talks on 3 points and it is for the human being. The relation between human being and human being. Now, it comes the second rule, we can say, or second acceptable, second postulate, what is taught. That is, he says that a human being is living in sorrow, living in misery and poverty. This is the first thing we have to understand. In the second lesson, we can say that everyone is in sorrow, in misery, and in poverty. And he says it's not everyone means the whole world. He says is full of suffering. And what Dhamma is to recognize that there is suffering. First. Second, if you recognize how to remove the sufferings, These 2 points are the purpose of Dhamma. We should know Dhamma because we are in sufferings, we suffer, and through Dhamma we should understand how to remove this suffering. Apart from this, there is nothing in Dhamma. Very clear, he is very clear, very point to point he speaks here, that there is suffering and how to remove the suffering is Dhamma, nothing else. Now, the recognition of the existence of suffering and to show the way to remove suffering is the foundation and basis of Dhamma. He explains it further. He explains how the purpose of Dhamma is. He is saying recognition, what we talk on first, recognition of existence of suffering, and second, the way to remove suffering remove the suffering. It is the foundation. The word it's used here is foundation and basis of Dhamma. This can be only foundation and justification for Dhamma, a religion which fails to recognize. Now hear what it says. A religion which fails to recognize this is no religion at all. Means religion should be there to remove the suffering of everyone. If it is not recognized and it is not showing the way out, then it's not a religion. Now again he moves forward and saying that he talks about the recluses and Brahmins because they were the most Brahmin people surrounding him because that time outside the Brahmins were only allowed to become the Parivrajakas or the saints, what they say. So they were not living at home. They were moving from one place to another, or they were living in the outside the cities or outside the villages. So they were called as the preachers of religions. These Brahmins, what they were doing at that time, they were the preachers of religion. So here it is said that Buddha says, a Brahmin who does not understand about these sufferings, that the world is suffering, and does not understand how to come out of this suffering, they are not Brahmins or recluses itself. They cannot be the preachers of religion. Just imagine if a bhikkhu or bhikkhuni, if they does not know to whom they are preaching, they are suffering from something, and if they don't know how to tell them to come out of that suffering, means they are not real preachers of Dhamma, we can say to this bhikkhu and bhikkhunis. Very clear. Means the preachers of Dhamma should know, they should recognize that there is suffering to whomever they are speaking to whoever they are guiding to. They should know that they are sufferers and they should be shown the path of how to come off that suffering. Now then he again asks, if the foundation of your Dhamma, the Parivrajaka asked to Buddha, because now their eagerness increases more, they become patientless, they want to know more and more things from the Buddha. So they ask, if the foundation of Dhamma is the recognition of existence of suffering and the removal of suffering, tell us, how does your Dhamma remove suffering? Now this is what it is called the yachana, before saying Trisham Panchashil. We are not doing this here because it's online and we have a limited time. But every time there is if someone asks, some upasak or upasika or lay person asks bhikkhu or bhikkhuni to give them Trishan Panchashil, they do yachana. That is, they request them. And that request is the second request which says, Okasa ahang bante tisarnena sating panchasilang dhammang yachami anugahang katva silang deta me bante. Means here they are asking about to tell about the three saram, that is three refuges, about the Panchashil, that is the 5 precepts, and Dhamma. Why Dhamma? Again we are saying how to come out of suffering. And this request is done by 5 Parivrajaka to Buddha at that time. When they request, if it's so that Dhamma is recognizing of suffering and the way to remove this suffering, how can it be done? Just explain. And Buddha then told them that it includes again 3 points to remove these sufferings. What is the first point? First point is the path of purity. What is this? Every person who want to come out of this suffering, they have to follow the path of purity. Second, the path of righteousness. Third, the path of virtue. We'll understand these 3 points one by one. Okay? So these are the 3 main points which can bring a person out of suffering. So here, the Parivrajakas asked them to explain these 3 points. And the Buddha feels happy, is pleased to explain it. He addressed them first on the path of purity. The first 3 points we had talked of. First is the path of purity. Second, the path of righteousness. And third, the path of virtue. Now, the Buddha explains the path of purity. Only by saying the path of purity we can understand it talks of Panchashil. Everyone, those who know Dhamma, it should click in the mind. Path of purity means the 5 precepts. And yes, really, the Buddha talks on this. He addressed them first on the path of purity. It says, the path of purity teaches that the person who wishes to be good, purity means becoming good. If you are pure means you are a good person. Wishes to be good must recognize some principles as principles of life. To live a good life, to become a good person, they should follow some principles. And these principles should be not only for the present time, but it should be for the life, the whole life. The time they understand these principles, they should continue it till the death of their life. So, they have to follow the principles, recognize some principles and principles of life as principles of life. Again he explains, according to my path of purity, the principles of life recognized by it are, what are they? They are not to injure or kill. Second, not to steal. Third, not to do anything which may hurt others by lust or desire. Fourth, not to speak the untruth. And fifth, not to indulge in intoxicants. These are the 5 precepts which everyone knows. We start our program with this because while getting the knowledge, while getting the teachings of Buddha, at least at that time we should follow these 5 things. Our mind should not be disturbed with any of the things which are against the 5 precepts. So this path of purity gives us the principles which includes the 5 precepts, as which is known as Panchashil in our life. Now, he further explains it. The recognition of this principle, I say, is the most essential for every man. Everyone has to follow this. They should follow these precepts. And these precepts or these principles constitutes the standard of the life. Means a person can be known by this standard. The one who follows these precepts, we can say that what that person's standard is. Specifically, we generally nowadays we talk of the status, status of a person, and status of a person is based on, especially nowadays, it's based on economy, how the financial status is. But according to Buddha's teaching, we can say here the status can be converted to standard, and the standard would be how their manners and etiquettes are, how a good person follows the manners and etiquettes with the precepts, 5 precepts which are given, which are taught by Buddha, because it gives you to understand how a human being is, nature is, whether he is good or not. The standard is there, and that standard are conducted through the principles. There are everywhere people who are patit. Now, how he explains about this standard, he says there are people, some are called patit. Patit means fallen. Fallen means not fallen on the ground as such, fallen by their behavior, fallen by their nature. No one wants them to talk to, no one like to talk to them, no one like to have relation with them. They say they are fallen people. And these fallen people, again, he says that they can be divided into 2 parts. One is, one does not know that they are fallen, and the other one knows that they are fallen. Like example we can give, those who are following all the rites and rituals through prayers, through any god or whatever the deities are, they are devoted to them, and they do not get any good result what they want. Still they are doing that, and they don't know that nothing is happening to them, but still they are doing this in their life. Means they are unknown, and this word is given in a later chapter we will come. It is called avidya. In Pali it is avidya. So they don't know. In the same way, the fallen people, they don't know that they are fallen. We can give another example, the accurate example we can say, whether they are fallen or not, but they are treated to be as a fallen, like the untouchables. And the untouchables, they didn't know that they are treating, that people are treating us that way. We should not be treated that way. We are human beings. They didn't know that they are human beings. They thought that it is their destiny. They were living in that condition, what they were asked to live. So they, according to others, they were fallen people. They didn't know anything. The another standard is that the patit who has, they are called, they had the patit who had a standard and a patit who had no standard. So the one who has standard, they know that they have fallen. And Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar was the one to make us realize that you are treated as fallen, and we recognized, yes, and we started rising up. The one who are now coming to Buddhism, knowing the Buddha and his teachings, they are the one who are trying to rising up, means they know that they were treated as fallen or they were fallen. Both we can say. So, here it is said that the one who understand that they are fallen, that is one standard, they tries to rise up. And those who don't understand, they are happy where they are. So these are the two differences which Buddha explains here. And this, what is this, the standard of recognizing that we are fallen and not recognizing or not knowing that we are fallen, it is in our mind. What Buddha says here, this every standard is regulated in man's life. What matter is not much. Here it says, what matters is not so much the fall of the man, but the absence of any standard. Means a person cannot have a good life or cannot become a good person unless and until he gets to know that he has fallen. So absence of any standard is the main reason of that person remaining fallen. So this is the main important thing, absence of any standard. And this standard is based on the principles. Now, this Parivrajaka again, they ask him, why are these principles worthy of recognition as a standard of life? See, the questions are arising. Everyone should know that whatever they are told, some questions should arise in the mind. Unless and until we have questions, we cannot understand the teachings properly. So again they ask, why are these principles worthy of recognition as a standard of life? Now the Buddha answers here. Ask yourself. See, everyone has to ask ourselves, Buddha is very clear. Ask yourself whether these principles good for you. Are these principles good for every individual? See, it means every individual changes if they follow this standard of principles. So, we have to ask whether they are good for me. The second, also if you ask, do they promote social good? See, two questions are there. you have to ask ourselves, first is whether it's good for me, and also whether is it good for the social, to promote social atmosphere, we can say, whether the relation between a human being to a human being depends on this promotion of social good. So if the answer is in affirmative, if we say yes, these principles, these standards, these precepts are good for me as an individual, and also they are good for the promotion of social good, then you will know why these are worthy of recognition. Very clear it is. So Buddha's teachings not only talk of the individual thing, but also of the social problems. Many people are stopping in between. They take advantage of whatever Buddha's teachings are for their own, but they won't give it forward, or the word nowadays we are using, that is pay back to society, because of whom you have raised yourself from, because of whom you are living a good standard life. We are not very clear whether we should help others or not, or stay ourselves as a selfish person. So these both the things are to be understood, and this will show us that this is the examples what explained Buddha about the principles, the standard of how to raise from a fallen situation. These are the path of purity, which is explained by Buddha. So the path of purity means everyone has to follow the Panchashil, the 5 precepts, and also has to make it understand or make others realize the importance of these 5 precepts in each and everyone's life, especially in a family, so that if a family members, every member of a family follows these precepts, that family becomes a good family. And if almost all the families in that area living there, if they follow this kind of precepts, automatically the society also becomes a good society. So these are the steps to be followed to follow the path of purity according to the Buddha. Now second, after that the second point comes, that is the path of righteousness. This is, everyone knows, that is about the Arya Atthangiko Maggo, that is noble eightfold path. Very important. This is the path. The Buddha explains of this eightfold path, and he says that eightfold means 8 steps. We can say we have to follow accordingly. The first one is, I know all the 8 steps are important, but unless and until you understand the first one, you cannot jump on the second. You won't be able to understand the other steps. So it's very important to know the first step very well. And Buddha has given more time on this first step, that is called the Samma Ditti, that is right vision. Samma Ditti, Ditti means vision. Samma means right, right view or right vision. Now, many of them explains this in different ways according to the examples. But here, how Buddha taught it to the 5 Parivrajaka, we should understand it very well. It says, to realize the importance of Samadhi, the Buddha said to the Parivrajakas, you must realize that the world is a dungeon and man is a prisoner in this dungeon. Dungeon means a place like a prison, underground prison we can say, or it is a solitary cell where it is full of darkness, no one is there, and they are there and they are prisoners because they cannot see light, they don't know what light is even. They can see whatever it is there in that cell itself. So, what Buddha says to Parivrajaka, that we have to realize that this world, the world itself is like a prison. Now, this prison is full of darkness. So dark is it that scarce anything at all can rightly be seen by the prisoner. The prisoner cannot see that he is a prisoner. So, obviously, the people who are living in this world, they don't think that they are prisoners. Because we think we are free. We are living a free life in this world. But Buddha says we have to understand that even in this world we are prisoner because this world is a kind of prison. Now indeed man has not only become blind by living too long in this darkness. It is said, no, if there is darkness everywhere, we feel blind. But he very much doubts if any such strange thing as light is there, said to be, can ever exist at all. Because they are used to the darkness so much that they never think that there is a light somewhere. There is a kind of light, or there is an existence of such kind of thing which is known as light. We can explain in this way. They don't know about this. In a joking way, I always say, the students, I ask them, have you seen America? They say no. Do you know that it exists? Some of them say no, because they have not seen it. They never think that there should be such kind of country in this world. But as they grow up, they get to know and they say, oh, America is there. Means this is a kind that they have never heard of this kind of word. They have never heard this kind of name, or this kind of item, or this kind of thing is there. They don't know. So if suddenly some things come in front of them, they say, no, it does not exist. You are talking something imaginary. In the same way, light is an imaginary thing for the person who are prisoners living in the darkness. Now, again in further Buddha explains, mind is the only instrument through which light can come to man. And from where the light will come? Again the question is here. Please be alert here what I want to say. The light is to be lightened in the mind, not through candles or lamp. Nowadays, many people we find that they light the candles and lamp in the Buddha Viharas or any function saying that it is a kind of thing that Buddha said that because of this light, all darkness will go. They even never think that in sunlight this candlelight cannot have any existence. Still they do it. But no one knows that Buddha talks of the lightening of the mind. The light has to be there in the mind because darkness is already there. It has to be lightened through the mind. But the mind of these Duncan dwellers is by no means a perfect instrument for the purpose, because they don't understand there is mind and we can make use of this mind to lighten it or to come out of this darkness, because they don't know anything. It lets through only a little light, just enough to show those with sight that there is such a thing as darkness. So, through mind only they can be told or they can be known by it, thus defective in its nature, such understanding as this is. This is the defective. The nature of them becomes very defective because no one went to them or no one wanted to tell them, or if someone tell them, they don't want to listen to them. But no, Parivrajakas, the case of the prisoner is not as hopeless as it appears. What Buddha says, though the people living in the world are like prisoners, but they are not hopeless if you try. Who will try? The preachers of Dhamma will try, seeing that or knowing that it's not hopeless. The prisoners can be free if they are explained about the light. If they are told that there is light, they can come out of it. For there is in man a thing called will. When the appropriate motive arises, the will can be awakened and set in motion. See, this is the will. What we say, we always use this word willpower, which is inside a human being, inside one. When we motivate anyone or try to convince others, we are trying to motivate their will. In the same way, Buddha says here, the person who are prisoners, they still have will inside, they don't know about it. But that will has to be appropriately motivated so that they can awaken to use their will. Because no one can change anyone's life directly. You just have to show the path or motivate them to use their own will. So the three words are coming here. Will, and to make that will awaken, we have to appropriately motivate them. If this stepwise this is done, they will start in motion. They will start to use their willpower. This is very important. Okay? With the coming of just enough light to see in what directions to guide the motion of the will, man may so guide them that they shall lead to liberty. This will, this appropriate motivation of bringing them out of this darkness, showing them the path of liberty, is a very good guide. You can guide them, and this is the first step. It says he may at any moment begin to take the first step that will ultimately bring him to freedom. If this motivation is there, this motivation can start. It's a moment where a person knows about what really it is, the importance of the light, how they are living the life, how they can come out of the darkness. That moment where they understand, they will take the first step, and that is the start. It can be started at any time. Buddha says they will take the first step that will ultimately bring him to freedom. The first step will start to get the freedom. This is because it is possible to train the mind in whatever direction one chooses. It is mind that makes us to prisoners in the house of life, and it is mind that keeps us so. Whatever mind thinks, because this is what motivation is. The person who is being motivated or who does not want to get motivated, it depends on that person itself. That person want to be a prisoner or to be come out and live freely to get the freedom. It depends on the mind of that person. See, this is really becoming very, I don't know whether I'm able to explain you very well or not, but it's talking about the mind. I'm trying my best. But what mind has done, the mind can undo. Here, this is very, again I find, because I always compare it with other things. In computers, when we work, something wrong has been typed or something wrong thing has been displayed, we recognize it and we undo it. We don't want that. We don't want what we are typing is wrong. We know that, so we undo it. In the same way, we have to undo whatever the mind has thought. If it's not in a right way, in a proper way. If it has brought man to thraldom, it can also, when rightly directed, bring him to liberty. Thraldom means slavery. We always talk about this slavery. If someone get to know that they have become slaves or they are treated as slaves, and if rightly directed, they can bring liberty in their life. This is undo. This slavery can be undo. We can undo the slavery and we can have this freedom, liberty. This is what Samma Ditti can do. Means, now this other, what we can do according to Samma Ditti, according to the right view, Buddha has explained. But again the question arises. The Parivrajaka asks, what is the end of Samma Ditti? What is the result? And Buddha replies, it is the destruction of avidya. Destruction of avidya means, we can say, the word is written, ni science. Means where there is no science at all in your mind. We are just accepting as destiny. We don't know anything. Ignorance. We can use the word avidya is in English, we can say ignorance. We don't know anything at all. And in other words, we can say we are having wrong view. Because as I gave you the example that by rituals and ceremonies we can do it good in our life, but that is a wrong way of doing it. That is wrong view. That is a wrong path. Coming out of it is the right path. That is the destruction of ignorance. We are knowing really what it is. Now, again here it is said, avidya means the failure and understand the noble truth. means the truth. Buddha talks here about the truth. The acceptance, understand and acceptance of truth. And what acceptance? The existence of suffering and the removal of suffering. Means our vision should be whatever suffering. Suffering is, we can say, it is in abundant, very, very big. If we think of it, it's very big. And I always use the word, we have to postmortem all the sufferings, It has to be divided into small pieces and then try to come out of the suffering step by step from all the pieces, You cannot come out of the suffering suddenly from the whole of a suffering. So yeah, it is saying, becoming, knowing that you have destructed all the avidya, that is, all the ignorance, that means you gained some knowledge, and that knowledge will make you understand that there is suffering in your life. Because unless and until you know that it is suffering, you won't understand. One example I'll give you here. Nowadays, we find that there is a student, they are giving that lunch, in the schools, midday meal. Midday meal, they are giving many things, like to the whole student, they are giving the same thing. But if this student, some are from the villages, some are from the very poor families, some are from the very low, so-called low caste and so-called high caste. When they go to any function where they serve some food, you will find that the poor children or the so-called low caste children, because by caste also they are low and financially they are low, so they don't have good food to eat. They get the dry stale food or dry stale chapati to eat. But if they are called in some function where rich people are also there and all the so-called high caste people are also there, they give puris, the fried chapati, fried puris to their children, and that time the children who are always eating the stale food, they get to know, oh, this is what it is. We always eat this stale roti. There is some kind like chapati, puri also, some paratha also. They don't know about this, So they come out of that ignorance. This kind of things is also there. I also had one example when I had one first program in Mumbai in 2008. I called 20 students were there from villages. First time they came to see off in the railway station, because we were coming from Mumbai to Nagpur and we had booked the ticket for reservation, sleeper reservation. So they just entered the railway station. They always did it, but they always traveled in general class. So they took the platform ticket and they dropped us in the sleeper coach. And they were surprised to see the sleeper, like the berth which can be brought down and one can sleep on it. The way it was, the sleepers are, it was very new for them. That time I understood our people are not knowing many things, they are very ignorant of many things, what is happening around, what is there around, So coming out of the village and knowing this kind of things, even the reservation, they are going and giving money and they say that they want reservation. justification. So so many examples I can give, but due to the time I will not give that many examples, but I am able to make you understand what the ignorance is. Here it is this is also a kind of suffering, because they did not get the knowledge accordingly which they need it at the present time. So that is they got to know that they don't know this, and they wanted to know how to do it. Means they started rising up, they started knowing things. So this is the way, step by step, we have to move forward. Now again he says, coming out of ignorance, the second it says, to giving up the belief of efficacy of rites and rituals. I give the examples like the doing the rituals in front of the god and ceremonies. So you have to give up. We have to say that no, this won't give any good results for me. But my time will be wasted, my money would be wasted, my energy would be wasted in such kind of rituals and ceremonies, and I won't get any good result what I needed. So we have to come out of these rituals, rites and ceremonies. This is what the Samma Ditti has to, the end result of the Samma Ditti is. The third, it talks on the disbelief in the sanctity of the Shastras, the purity of this Shastra, which is known as the books of religion. You have to come out of this. We don't have to believe it thoroughly as it is. You have to understand it whether it is good for us or not, good for our life, good for the society or not. If you say that it is pure, we have to accept it as it is, then it would be a mithya ditti. That means a wrong view. The third thing it says, abandonment of superstition and supernatural. Means doing all superstitions like having tying thread on the hand, and we think that by doing this we are not afraid of anything or something good will happen to us. That tying thread is superstition. Lightning lamp is a superstition. Without understanding what we want to do, we expecting from some supernatural powers which does not exist is superstition. So there are many kind of superstitions, and we have to just abandon it. That means we have to leave it. The fifth one is, it requires the abandonment of all doctrines which are mere speculations. That is imagination. We just imagine. Many things we imagine. We does not want to accept the truth. Even through after experiencing that this is not true, we don't want to live it. This is the fifth end result of it. Sixth one, it says, to free mind, and it requires free mind and free thought. Means it says that if you have understood the right view, you have right view in your mind, you will get the free mind and free thought. This is what the end result of right view. I think it was very hectic. I think I was also not able to explain as it is, but because it's really very difficult to understand. If any example has to be taken, it becomes easy. But according to how Buddha had explained, it's really very difficult to understand, because we have to go through it again and again, and we have to understand each and every word of it. Because it depends on the mind, it depends on the truth. It depends on the freedom. So many things comes here, and here we should know that we are still ignorant of many things because we have not gained as the knowledge as Baba Sahib Ambedkar, even Baba Sahib Ambedkar, how we can talk of Buddha. So many things we have to know. We have to come out of this ignorance in many ways, in many things. So we have to try our best to have a right view in our mind freely and with free thought. So this is the thing I tried to explain you. I don't know how it was. I will stop here. Thank you, Jai Bhim.
Thank you so much, Bandi. You are
Hello?
Yes, Bandi.
Yes, Bandi, I'm asking. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Okay, welcome.
Anybody posting? Anybody you don't have anything? Why did
Pardon?
Why did we not choose Parivrajakas?
Okay, it came in last session.
Yes.
Yeah, because he thought that many reasons are there. Like first, he thought that to whom I should give my teachings first, as soon as he got the enlightenment, because he knew that in the world many of people are in rites and ceremonies. They are doing their rituals. They are believing many things. And this is against it. His knowledge is against all the things. So no one will listen. He thinks of that. And then there is a conflict between what to do and what not to do. And he decides that he will go and tell at least people who want to know, because the whole world is in suffering. So he thought of giving it to the people who can at least understand him. So he thought of the teachers, because his teachers like Uttak Ramputta and kind of another Alara Kalam and other things, other teachers, but he got to know that they are no more. They had ended. They were not alive. So he thinks that. Now they are not there, because they were the one who were understanding Siddhartha very well, and they were very happy to keep Siddhartha as a student. And after this student becomes a Buddha, he thought that they will understand him, and they will understand what he has got the knowledge. Later, then he thought of these 5 Parivrajakas who got angry with him. The one reason here is they got angry with him and leave him because he takes food and he talks to a woman, that is Sujata. So they think that it is against the principles of asceticism. So they leave him. But before that, these 5 Parivrajaka helped Siddhartha in many ways. They were good friends at that time. They did asceticism together. So he thought that because they became angry and they left him, so he should go to them first and give them these teachings. So he go to them.
Yes, Pandit. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Anyone else?
One day.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning, Javin.
Your third artist is very good. And I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
Indian schools are very turmoil with respect to the status of minority or in total. So as a citizen of this country, follower of Buddha and what is our perception to look into this kind of inhuman activities, and do we react how to look at this, how to react with the
Actually,
in the perception of Buddha. Maybe not the right position to this context, but
yeah.
it's the need of the art to discuss at least.
Actually, really, this is out of this text what we have did today. But yes, it's a very important question you are asking. Actually, what the situation in this at present in India is very much different, and reaction, yes, we need to react, but that reaction should be in a right way. And Baba Sahib was, I will not be able to explain it in detail now because of the time, but I'll just give you some way out. As Baba Sahib has told us, that he says that we have to react in a very right way through gaining knowledge and through paperwork, because many things what we do, it's not planned. The other one who is enforcing us to or who is not treating us good, they are doing it very in planned way, and we just react without understanding what they really did it. They expect us to get angry, and we get angry. They expect us that we should react in wrong way, and we do that. So if we are the followers of Buddha, we have to react. Yes, that is very true, but it should be in very planned way and in a right way. And without example, I won't be able to explain you, because if some examples comes, we'll require another session for it, according to the things which is happening in today's time. Whether they are minorities or Buddhist minority, Christian minority, or Muslim minorities, the situation is very bad. The main and the biggest thing at present is going on as the gender issue, the treatment with girls and women nowadays. This is also a very big issue, but no one is like, why these things are happening. Everything is like because more people are doing this in ignorance, we can say, but they cannot be given, like, because they are ignorant they should be left off. No, they have to be, if even though the law says, even though something is done in ignorance, they have to be punished. So the thing which is affecting other people, the other communities, or the gender, that has to be punished according to the law, according to the Constitution of India. We have to study many things for this, and we have to come out with a result. It's too late to talk on this, It's too late. But still, I don't know whether you are satisfied or not. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Verily.
Yeah.
Anyone? Okay, we'll close.
Yeah. Any questions? No? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jamie.
Meet again next time.
Everyone, please take care.